Hello, and you're listening to Realpolitik Confidential, Episode 1, where we strip geopolitics down to raw power, shifting alliances, and calculated interests. No moralism, no utopia, just the truth behind the moves. I'm your host, Alexandru Crișan, and this is the first ever episode on June 4th, 2025. In the first subject, Russia-Ukraine. A cold exchange, not a thaw. In Istanbul today, a Russian and Ukrainian delegation quietly agreed on a humanitarian exchange of 6,000 fallen soldiers to be repatriated along with an undisclosed number of prisoners of war. Sounds like a step forward? Well, I'm afraid it isn't. There is still no ceasefire in sight, and the fighting around Kharkov and Zaporozhye intensifies. What we're seeing is war diplomacy, tactical, limited, and driven by optics, and not reconciliation. Moscow's calculus is clear: buy time before NATO's summit. Kiev's logic: show humanity and readiness, gain moral leverage. Peace, I'm afraid, is not on the table. Or at least not yet. For our second subject today, the Dutch collapse. Wilders breaks the cabinet. In The Hague, Geert Wilders just pulled his far-right PVV party out of the governing coalition, blowing up the fragile Dutch government over asylum policy. Translation: immigration killed the coalition once again. This isn't just a Dutch drama. It signals that even in wealthy, rule-bound European states, populist forces can't be tamed once they're let in the tent. Expect snap elections, rising polarization, and spillover effects across the European Union. And yes, you can be sure that Brussels is watching nervously. A fractured Netherlands weakens Europe and its internal cohesion at a time when it needs unity against Russia and China. And talking about China, the shadow moves in the Pacific. Beijing's foreign ministry stays silent, but satellite imagery doesn't. Chinese vessels are shadowing Philippine supply lines near the Second Thomas Shoal again. The Second Thomas Shoal is a contested zone inside the South China Sea. There are no shots fired just yet, just pressure, consistent legal grey zone pressure. This is classic salami slicing, microaggressions that don't just justify war, but erode sovereignty over time. Washington is concerned but distracted, Manila is outgunned, and ASEAN is divided. The result? Status quo erosion. China doesn't need to win a war, it just needs time, and no one is stopping the clock. For our fourth subject, we will go to Turkey. Erdogan's balancing act with NATO. In Ankara, the president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, plays both arsonist and firefighter. On one hand, he's negotiating with Russia over Syrian border control. On the other, he just greenlit expanded NATO operations in the Black Sea under Turkish supervision. He wants to leverage both sides and economic concessions to ease Turkey's inflation nightmare. The West sees him as a frenemy. Putin sees him as an unpredictable asset. But Erdogan sees only Turkey's survival, and he's betting that neither side can afford to lose him just yet. As a conclusion, let's look at the big picture. What we see is global systems under strain. Zoom out. What do all these stories have in common? Well, they reflect a world running on fractured legitimacy. From Europe to Asia, governments are struggling to reconcile internal pressures with external threats. Populists are rising, institutions are straining, and war is being normalized. The West is no longer leading, it is reacting. China isn't attacking, it's encroaching. Russia isn't winning, but it's bleeding slowly and making sure everyone bleeds with it. What does this mean for you? It means that the decade ahead isn't just unstable, it's transitional. Power is being rebalanced. And if you're not watching, you're already behind. This has been Realpolitik Confidential, Episode 1. I bid you a very lovely day.